I have noticed this trend in dating where the women are like, not pressed about marriage and kids, and the men seem to be the ones clamoring for marriage and kids. It has been an interesting shift as women are not really tripping on the dangling carrot of a wedding ring. Now, this woman went into the Ask Women Over 40 subreddit to say, dating men in their late 30s who want a kid. That was her topic. She says, I am struggling with finding a man around my age who also doesn't want to have kids. Out of the last 4 men I've dated between the ages of 36 and 40, 3 told me that they want to have kids and need to date with that intention. One said that he didn't want to regret not having tried to have kids and would keep trying until they turned 40. 2 said that they've always wanted kids. The 4th said they don't, but it was because they were resigned to the fact that they wouldn't have them. I am 40 and I have never wanted kids. I started dating about 2 years ago, and I just honestly never thought that this would be a problem I would run into with men around my age. I thought that my biggest challenge with dating at 40 would be a divorced or widowed man with kids, not men who are younger than me wanting kids. This makes my already super small dating pool significantly smaller. Is anyone else struggling with this? I am seeing this, especially as the child free movement trends up. Women are not really pressed about having kids, and I am loving that for us because I am team let the birth rate plummet to hell. Men know that babies anchor women down, and women are catching on to that. And they know because they will be shouldering the majority of all of the child care and everything that goes along with having kids. So women are saying, get someone else to do it. And for this reason, men are having a challenging time finding someone to anchor down with the babies. Let's get into some of these comments. Starlight Bright says men in their mid to late 40s are still putting that they want kids in their profile. My profile clearly states I don't want kids. Some of them also put looking for fun, casual dates or intimacy without commitment at the same time. It's so annoying. Men's sperm quality deteriorates a lot after 42, but no one wants to talk about that. Yoon G says, I had to deal with this all the damn time in my 30s. And you know what? Half of those men went on to never have kids anyway. Men in their 30s just want to keep their options open. They're not sure they really want kids either, but they have the luxury or foolishness of believing that their wives will do all the heavy lifting when it comes to parenting. The best part about turning 40 was men stopped expecting me to have their babies. She continues with, try to date men in their 40s. They won't expect you to pop out babies for them because they either already have them or they got their heads out their butts and realize they never really wanted to be fathers anyway. I'm seeing that these men in their 40s are falling apart. There's going to be so many different issues depending on which age group you pick. This person says, all is lost, says, you're dating the wrong men. Devil's Elbow Wart says, yeah, I was in a 6-month relationship with an unemployed 43-year-old who still hoped to have kids someday. I'm also 43 with 4 teenagers. No interest in reopening the baby factory or going back on diaper duty. I thought it was amusing that he'd broken up with a woman over the kids issue when he was around 30, but still somehow never got around to actually having any kids. So I don't know if he actually wants them or just the fantasy of it. I told him I understood, but he'd need to really put his head down and get his life together to attract a younger woman if he was serious about it. He looked baffled. Weird conversation. Then a lot of men my age with kids have young kids. And I don't want to play stepmom to preschoolers. I don't want to date someone 10 years older either. So yeah, it's a thing. My ideal man would be one who had his kids young like I did, or one who never had any and doesn't want to start in their 40s. Snoo Kiwi says, it says something significant about how active they are in their own life's priorities and decisions. They should know. Most people are aware that midlife begins in mid-30s. 40 is a bridge that once crossed, you can never do over. You have much life left, but opportunities have narrowed significantly, and that window is statistically shorter for men. It tells me that they do not have a rational view of how life unfolds and ultimately ends, and they likely haven't planned for it either. And that creates a big concern that they're not actually interested in building a family so much as, listen to this part, securing a retirement plan from someone else's good decisions. So, what she said right there, and it creates a big concern that they're not actually interested in building a family so much as securing a retirement plan from someone else's good decisions. Bam. And that should be enough to end this. Please know and understand that they are not looking to build a family. They just need something to hold on to because they know that they haven't lived particularly well. They probably haven't planned financially for their future. Their health is probably not that great, and they know that they're going to need someone to take care of them. So with that, we're going to end with Snoo Kiwi's comment. Jump in, let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. About a week ago, I started this post. It was a long post that was posted in the Waiting to Wed subreddit. Now, she was talking about if you are looking for a sign to leave, please read this. I'm not going to do the whole post, but I'm going to just do a reminder. She says, if you're looking for a sign to leave, please read this. And keep in mind, this is in the Waiting to Wed subreddit. So these women have been holding on hope that their man was going to finally propose. Okay, so this is her story. She says, hey all, I just wanted to share my story and perspective on waiting to wed and a rejected proposal. So I got together with my ex when we were both 23. I always knew from a young age that I wanted to get married and have lots of kids. I told him this in the early stages of dating and he agreed. I genuinely thought we were on the same page with what we wanted. Now, keep in mind, she was 23 at this time. She says, throughout our relationship, I would drop hints at marriage and wanting to be married ASAP. I'm from a fairly conservative background, and so is he. I'd get the usual vague, yeah, someday I need to work on things first. I'm not ready yet, copy paste speech they all use. For the next 2 years, I became increasingly upset. I would try to have the conversation with him only for him to avoid it and blow me off with the same crap. Before I leave this page, I want to remind us all they're from a fairly conservative background. So getting married young and having a bunch of babies is probably baked into the cake of what she has seen growing up. She says, I begged, pleaded, cried, constantly asked for reassurance that he wasn't just stringing me along and he actually wanted to marry and have kids with me one day. One day, I spent an hour on the phone to him crying, saying I felt I'd never get married and have kids, and it was my biggest dream. Once again, he gave the usual maybe in a few years spiel. He even suggested at one point that the reason he didn't want to marry me was because I brought it up too much and he felt pressured. Total gaslighting BS. And she says, and then one day I just didn't care anymore. And then she said towards the bottom, funnily enough, when I started to become distant, he suddenly started to make more of an effort because he sensed that I was drifting away. And in this story, she says that she did move in with him. She saw that he was very childish to live with. Eventually, he did pop the question. It was very low effort. And she said no. She actually turned down his proposal and then they broke up soon after. She said she was just turned off. She didn't want to get married. She didn't want to get married at all now because of this whole situation. And even though she's in a relationship currently, she's still not really wanting to get married. So that is the summary of some of the rest of this story. Like I said, I've already done this story. I wanted to get to the end because it was long. And remember, this is, do you need a sign to leave? She says, questions you need to ask yourself. Do you actually want to be married to this man? Or do you just like the idea of a fairy tale wedding and the social approval of being married? I thought I really wanted to marry my ex, but now when I look back, I can see we weren't even that compatible. I was sold the idea of a perfect wedding from a young age, and that's really what I wanted. If you couldn't tell anyone or post pictures of your engagement anywhere, would you still want to marry him? Similar to the last one, women have been told we're worthless if unmarried by a certain age since we are children. If you couldn't get any social approval at all from marrying him, if you had to keep the marriage a secret, never tell anyone, never post any pictures, would you still want to go ahead and marry him? Do you have low self-esteem, codependent traits, or childhood trauma? A lot of women stay forever girlfriends because they think no one else will ever want them, or they're used to being in a parent-child dynamic with their partner. If this is you, please go to therapy and build up your self-esteem. And finally, please save this list and remind yourself daily. I deserve someone who cares about my happiness in a relationship. I deserve someone who is honest about what they want or don't want. I deserve to feel seen and heard and to have my needs and wants validated. Recommended reading: Codependent No More, Melody Beattie, F Him. Nice Girls Always Finish Single by Brian Knox. Women Who Love Too Much by Robin Norwood. Why Men Marry B Words, Sharon Argoff. If you can relate to anything I've written, please leave him. I massively regret not leaving my ex sooner. It would have saved me so much time and pain and regret. Please know and understand that you need to know yourself first. Know yourself first. Be okay with being single if you have to X someone off the list. The quicker you X that person off the list, the quicker you can free yourself up, heal, and have that energy and space to receive what you are actually looking for. All right, let's get into a couple of these comments. Fran says, concerning your current and wonderful and loving boyfriend, don't make your partner pay for the sins of the previous partner. Because like I said, and what I didn't put in this is that she is currently in a relationship with a man who is supportive and knows what he wants and is not stringing her along. So that's what this is in reference to. She says, choose to have a healthy and loving relationship with your kind man or be alone and miserable on your own. Don't carry bitterness with you to a person who doesn't deserve it. Seashells Seafloor says, well said. That was a full enough list. I really liked her questions that she wanted women to examine for themselves. It should not be about social status anymore because we don't need that social status. Getting married is bigger than that. Getting married is bigger than the wedding day. And in all of these conversations that we have been having with each other, we see that it is, for some women, work, stressful, women doing the most, women's lives changing dramatically, while many times the men's life doesn't change that much. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. A woman is posting in the Am I the A-hole subreddit. And a lot of times when women are posting in this, they're looking for validation for feeling normal human emotions. She says, am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend he crossed a line with my work-life balance? She says, I work long, intense hours at a high-pressure job. My boyfriend knows this. Recently, I finally set boundaries to stop taking work calls after 7 p.m. This has helped me unwind and prioritize our time together, which he initially seemed to support. Last night, my boss called around 8:30 p.m., but I ignored it. My boyfriend asked why I didn't pick up, and I explained I didn't want work intruding on my evening. To my shock, he picked up my phone and answered the call himself, saying I was too busy relaxing to talk. I was mortified. I'm mortified too, girl. My boss sounded annoyed, and I had to spend 30 minutes on the call only because he made it sound like I was slacking off. Afterwards, I was furious and told him it wasn't his place to interfere with my work like that, and he thinks I'm overreacting and shouldn't be ashamed of setting boundaries. Am I the a-hole? Absolutely not. And what this shows me is that, okay, cool, you are in the process of setting boundaries. Now you need to set some boundaries around your boyfriend. Your boyfriend crossed many, many lines at this particular juncture. He knew what you were planning, and for whatever reason, he's deciding to sabotage your career. Like, why? There are things going on in this, and she's going to have to unravel because, yes, Work can encroach into your free time, and you would think that your boyfriend would want some time, but now he's like, you're going to take this because they know he knows what he was doing. He knew that the boss was going to now suck up some of her time and energy as well. So this is a whole mess in itself. Historical World says, wow, this is really inappropriate. He just undermined you and damaged your relationship with your boss. To me, it's creepy that he even answers your phone at all unless there was an emergency, much less when he knows your boss is calling. Not the a-hole. Edit for all the men unable to understand. Yes, prior to cell phones, we all answered landlines for each other. The very obvious difference is that those were almost always communal lines. Cell phones are not communal property in most cases, and unless you and your partner have agreed that you would like one another to answer each other's phones, doing this can often be considered intrusive for both the person whose phone you answered and the caller who was not expecting to interact with you. If you are doing this in any way to screen your partner's calls or gain access to information you wouldn't otherwise have, then you are engaging in abusive behavior. Examine your motives carefully. I like that edit. She was very clear with that. I didn't see a bunch of men commenting, but I can imagine it must have been a lot for her to come back with that edit. The OP says, yes, it was unsettling. I'm definitely setting stricter boundaries now, especially around my phone. This person says, honestly, ask him why he tried to get you fired. Make him think you're in trouble at work because of what he did. Aaron says this, it is a red flag when a partner starts to do little disruptive things to your work. This one time, it might not be a job ending moment, but most bosses and organizations don't look kindly on any type of interference. Not to mention, you deserve to relax, and not answering is totally appropriate behavior. Voicemail and text messages exist, and I highly doubt you saved any lives by taking that call. Hail or Shine says, telling the boss OP is too busy relaxing to work is 100% him trying to cause friction at work. There's no way he doesn't know that this could cause the OP's boss to think she's not dedicated to her job. If I were the OP, I'd be thinking back to see if there were any other times he's attempted to have a negative impact on her career. This person says it's going to be other stuff too, not just her job, like the guy who thought his girlfriend was spending too much time on art, so he threw away her art supplies. This guy would do that too. And we have seen Reddit posts where men destroy women's hobbies, their arts and crafts. We've seen people have their makeup destroyed. I've seen a tree get cut down. We've talked about pets being harmed. These men do things, and it's just so wild. It's so wild. But women are going to have, as we talk about this stuff more and more, you know, it might be a pet, it might be a plant, it might be a hobby, it might be your time with your girlfriends or whatnot. Start picking that up. Start thinking back to the time where your time was sabotaged. And it was like maybe it was just a one-off time at that particular point. But then it started to happen more and more. This person is sabotaging you in general. All right, y'all. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This was posted in the Am I the A-hole subreddit, but it was pulled. So thankfully, the person who sent this to me took the screenshots because she knew it was going to be taken down. It says, am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my brother's wedding after finding out I was uninvited? The answer is no. You were uninvited, so your money was therefore uninvited as well. But let's look at the post. He says, so here's the situation. I, a 35-year-old man, am pretty close to my younger brother, Alex, who's 28. We've always gotten along well, and when he got engaged last year, he asked if I could help cover the wedding costs. My career has been going well, and I'm in a good financial position, so I agreed to pay a big chunk, including the venue and catering. It was a significant amount, but I was happy to support him and his fiancée, Claire. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, and I start noticing I'm not getting any of the usual family updates on wedding plans. I asked Alex about it, and he told me that Claire felt it would be better if I didn't attend the wedding. He said she was worried about tensions since her family is a bit conservative and may not be comfortable with me being gay. I was shocked. Alex said he was sorry, but ultimately went along with her decision to avoid any drama on their big day. I told him that if I wasn't welcome at the wedding, then I shouldn't be expected to pay for it either. Alex freaked out, saying they'd already put down a non refundable deposit with the money I'd given them, and that if I pulled out now, they'd be in serious financial trouble. I told him I felt hurt and that it was unfair to expect my support while excluding me from the celebration. The nerve of them to even think that this was going to fly. Now my family is divided. My parents think I should let it go and not ruin his big day over a misunderstanding. But my friends agree I shouldn't pay for a wedding I'm not invited to. I've offered to cover what's already been paid, but refuse to contribute anything further. So am I the a-hole for pulling financial support after being uninvited to my own brother's wedding? So absolutely not. You're not the a-hole. And if this happened to me, if I was uninvited, we would probably not be considered siblings anymore because WTF. Absolutely not. If your spouse is not going to accept you, if your spouse is not going to accept your sibling, why would they expect to keep a relationship? This is absolutely wild that they thought that this was going to fly. I do want to check in with some of these comments though, but still, obviously, not the a-hole. Bookworm Monica says, not the a-hole. That was a dumb move on your brother and his fiance's part. I mean, come on. It's only common sense you invite people who are helping you pay for your wedding. If you pull an invitation and are homophobic to boot, not smart at all. Do they often think they can walk all over you? I'd find a charity helping youth in the LGBTQ community and donate the funds you pull to them. Here's the OP saying, thank you, I appreciate that. It does feel like they just assumed I'd go along with it no matter what. Laliki says, not the a-hole. If they're so concerned, they should ask the conservative snowflakes they're catering to for financial help. Traveled Hermit says, or how about uninviting the homophobic relatives instead of the brother-in-law? Or would that include the bride? Mechanical Fire Turtle, that these names are wild, says, I think the groom would also be included. Miserable Fennel says, that's my feeling as well. If you read between the lines, his complacency indicates more than just trying to appease his fiance and her family. O.M. Vince says, withdrawing the invitation would be a relationship ending act for me. Polite and civil at mutual events, but that's it. And that's how I would be too. I would feel really hurt. I would feel really hurt if a sibling or a family member or something, especially someone that you've extended courtesy and support to, did this. I would be hurt, and that would be a relationship ending violation. T. Hedman says, yeah, I would be devastated if they withdrew my invite regardless of whether I was paying. The idea that they think OP should pay and take the slap in the face in stride is mind-blowing. Exactly, the entitlement. Ancient Awareness says, if my husband told me I couldn't invite my gay relatives to my wedding, there wouldn't have been a wedding. And I'll end it with Vinegar Girl saying, same. Heck, I'd be taking a closer look at your relationships with your parents, OP. They're cool with what your brother is doing. That doesn't pass my sniff test. Get your money back, and your parents or the bride's family can pay for it. Shine up your spine, not the a-hole, except maybe to yourself. And with that, I'm going to end it. I do want to know where you land. Just join the conversation. Let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Don't forget to hit the follow button if you're not yet following me.